Hi guys, it's me Chazza HD and welcome to this post-race, post-Japanese Grand Prix Q&A here on this Monday evening. How are you guys doing on this Monday night if you're in Europe, or Monday afternoon if you're in North America? Hopefully you're doing well. Have we recovered from what was, I guess, quite a controversial Japanese Grand Prix yesterday with great action, overtakes and plenty of talking points, which maybe we'll get into in this stream. Now guys, before I get into this Q&A, I just want to add that I am very tired. My throat is very worn out, so please don't expect me to be, brilliantly great in this Q&A, because I've not had a lot of sleep and my throat is very bad in terms of just speaking power, because I've done so much commentary for the Japanese Grand Prix race weekend. So guys, please don't expect much from me. Try and bear with me during this stream. I'll try my best. But yeah, we'll get into this Q&A and hopefully you guys can ask some good questions as you normally do. So let's see if some questions are going to pile up in the chat. Ben McCarthy, have I recovered? Being a Hamilton fan, I'm loving life. Yep, that makes sense if you're a Hamilton fan, of course. He also says, great race review. Thank you very much. By the way, if you have not checked out my race review for the Japanese Grand Prix, it's in the description down below. There's a link there where you can click on and go and watch that. It's about 16 minutes long. Was uploaded about 2 hours ago. So if you have not checked it out, then go and check it out and see what I had to say at the end of this Japanese Grand Prix weekend. Right, let's now get into some questions, shall we? Nathan, I think your audio is low. Yeah, my audio, I'm having a slight audio issue with my OBS. This happens a couple times. It kind of plays up. Hopefully, for future streams, this won't happen again. But yeah, if I do sound a bit quieter, then try and put your volume up a bit more. But yeah, OBS is having a bit of a moment at the minute. Simon Cragland, do you think Ferrari will win again this year? I think they will win in Mexico, but I'm not really sure. In Mexico, they should be very competitive for the race win, but with the way they've been in the last few races, does anyone actually expect Ferrari to perform and get the best possible result, or the result you expect them to get after qualifying? No, we don't, because they've bottled it continuously for the last few races. Right, I think it's Rishab Jain. Was Vettel being too aggressive while overtaking Verstappen, and was Verstappen being too aggressive on Kimi? For Vettel was too aggressive. I think he was. Yes, there was a gap, but that corner is not a corner for overtaking. It's very fast. Even in the Grand Prix where the cars are going slower than qualifying, that complex is very, very fast. It's not an overtaking opportunity unless you are either fully alongside or your car is ahead. It's not an overtaking opportunity. If you're like what Sebastian Vettel was, if you're in his position where your car is kind of half a car length behind, an overtake is not realistic. It really is not realistic. So I think Vettel was too aggressive. I think he was. And with Verstappen, I wouldn't necessarily say too aggressive. I think he just made the wrong choice in terms of where to rejoin the track. He should have just gone straight on and then lifted off a bit on the pit straight. Spider Monkey, who is your pick for the US Grand Prix from the midfield? Probably the home team, Haas. The American Grand Prix that they've competed in as the home team, they've actually done well when their car hasn't been that good once they've got to their home Grand Prix. So with their car being about the 5th fastest at the moment in F1, I think Haas are going to be quite strong at COTA, and I hope they are, because it'd be great to see a great home performance for their fans. JB, have you ever met an F1 driver, and if, who would you meet on the current grid? I've never met an F1 driver, unfortunately, but hopefully in my lifetime I will meet either an ex or a current one. And what did he say? Who would you meet on the current grid? Probably Daniel Ricciardo, because he's such a great laugh, and maybe Charles Leclerc because he's such a nice guy. Brendan Hartley. Yeah, people like that. Will Renault be stronger in the USA? That's from Rishab Jain. They will be closer to the front of the midfield, but they won't be as competitive still as Haas and Force India. Absolutely not. The car, it suits Kota more than Suzuka, but it still doesn't suit their car more than, say, the Haas or the Force India. Simon Cragland, I think Force India will be 4th quickest at the US Grand Prix. They seem strong everywhere. Yeah, I think they're going to be very strong there as well. Last year, they had the best car from the midfield. So, yeah, they should have a very competitive package for the US Grand Prix. JB, what has been the worst race of the season? I think Monaco, Canada or Belgium. I don't want to say Monaco because Monaco normally is boring, and what we got was what we were probably expecting. I would say Spa or Canada has to be the candidates for who has had the most boring race of 2018. I'd have to say Canada has had the most boring race because it was so poor, but it was so poor by Canada standards. That's why I'm picking it as the worst race. JB Haas should be strong in Austin, Texas. That's a good one. When will McLaren score points in the last 4 races? Their best chance is Mexico, but I don't see them scoring points at all. I don't see it. Right, I'll just make sure I get through all of your questions, guys. Gina just asked one, I think. Let me just see what his was. When will Ferrari be fast again? Maybe 2019. I don't see how they're going to be fast for the final 4 races. I don't see it. I really don't see it. Right, just make sure I don't miss any comments here. Formula Motorsport. Who is more likely to win a race this season, Bottas or Kimi? Valtteri Bottas, because 1, I think he is better than Kimi right now. He's been better than Kimi in 2018, and the Mercedes car is way better than the Ferrari right now. So I would have to say Valtteri Bottas. And I think if Hamilton does win the title at Austin, I think he'll win in Abu Dhabi because he's very fast there. And I think Mercedes will try and push him to win that race. Nathan, do you think Leclerc will outscore Vettel next year? And do you think any of them will get the World Championship, the World Drivers' Championship? I think Leclerc has a better chance of beating Vettel than maybe some people think. I wouldn't be surprised if Leclerc beat Vettel because, Charles is such a great driver, and Sebastian at the moment has no confidence and is on such a downward spiral. So if Leclerc can capitalise on that, which he probably will, then I think Leclerc has a great chance of beating Vettel. But right now, if you asked me who's going to come out on top in 2019, in terms of not just Ferrari, but Mercedes and Ferrari in the Drivers' Championship, I'd have to say Lewis Hamilton. I don't see how Ferrari in their current way, as I said in my race review, which by the way guys, if you haven't seen, go and check out, it's in the description down below. I said in that race review, with Ferrari in its current way and with their current personnel, they can't possibly win. It's been proven over the last 2 years, this year and 2017. So I don't see how Ferrari, unless they make massive changes over the winter, can win the title in 2019. I don't see it. Rona Brady, I think Vettel will be more like himself next year. I think that's less likely. I think if he was going to be more like the Sebastian Vettel, you know, the great Sebastian Vettel, it would have been this year, because he would have learnt from 2017 and then made it count in 2018. But he's doubled down on his silly mistakes and mental lapses. And I think if Leclerc beats Vettel next year, I don't think Sebastian, going forward for the rest of his career, because you have to remember Vettel is, what, 31 years old? So he's not a spring chicken. If Vettel gets beaten by Leclerc next year, that could be Vettel. That could send Vettel into a massive downward spiral for the entirety of his career. You don't know. I don't see Vettel, if he gets beaten by Leclerc, coming back from that. I don't see it, because he has no confidence right now. Spider Monkey, how old is Perez? I don't know, actually. I think he's in his late 20s, but I might be wrong on that. I think, is he 27 or 28? Or is he maybe 29, 30? I don't know. If anyone knows, put in the chat below. But yeah, he's definitely younger than Vettel and Hamilton. Ronan Brady says 28. So yeah, about the prime of his racing career. When Vettel leaves Ferrari, who will replace him? That's a good question. It depends when he leaves, and it depends what's going on at other teams. For example, if Vettel beats Leclerc in 2019, but again bottles the championship, but then Leclerc beats Vettel in 2020, and Vettel maybe by then decides to go, or Ferrari decide to drop him, then what is going on at Red Bull in 2019 and 2020 might be a very important factor in whether or in who replaces Vettel. And I think you guys know who I'm referencing with a possible replacement there. Simon Craglin, do you think Ocon will drive in F1 next year? I hope he does, but I don't think he will. I think George Russell will get that seat at Williams ahead of Ocon. And will drive alongside Sergei Sirotkin. And I think at Force India it's going to be Perez and Stroll going forward. So no, I think Ocon will miss out, because from what I've heard, his chances are very slim of getting a seat. Even though he has had, I believe, discussions with Williams, there just isn't a massively good chance of him going to the team. Toro Loco, I think Lewis will do a year in red before he retires. I disagree. I don't think he's ever going to leave Mercedes, because look at his career. He's never driven a car that is not powered by Mercedes-Benz. So why would he abandon that relationship, which has powered him, no pun intended, to what is going to be 5 Drivers' Championships? There's no point, I think, for Lewis Hamilton to go to Ferrari. Yes, it might be a dream come true, because everyone dreams of going to Ferrari, but stay at Mercedes. Mercedes are in a better way right now, and they look better going forward in terms of winning titles. So I don't see why Hamilton should go to Ferrari. Why is Bahrain such a good Ferrari track? Yeah, Bahrain is a good track for Ferrari. They won there in 2004, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2017 and 2018. It is a good track, and they've had plenty of poles. I don't know why they just, ever since the Bahrain Grand Prix has been invented, they just go well there. I don't really know why. With, say, the current Ferrari car, it does suit their car because it's slow corners and also long straights. So, yeah, it does suit the Ferrari, but in terms of, say, since 2004, I'm not quite sure what the special ingredient, I guess you could say, is around Bahrain. Goodbye to JB. Thank you, by the way, JB, to coming along to all the streams during the weekend. It was great to have you along. Do you think... I'm not going to say that guy's name because I don't really know how to say it. It's quite difficult for me to say. So, basically, the ex-boss of Mercedes leaving Mercedes. How do you think, or how do I think it'll affect their future? I don't think it will affect their future. I think Mercedes, as long as they're winning titles and at least competing for titles, they're going to be in F1. If they drop off and like Red Bull and are maybe winning a couple races here or there but are not winning titles, maybe then Mercedes will think, you know what, let's just pull out of F1. But until then, why would they possibly pull out? Right, I'll just try and make sure I get through all of your comments. By the way, guys, there's probably another 10 to 15 minutes left of this Q&A. So, if you do have a question, a burning question for me, put it in the chat and I will try to read as many as I can. Sorry if I have missed your question, but there are quite a lot tonight. So, you know, I'll try my best. But again, if I miss out your question, then try and repeat it if you can. Bless Juve, we keep hearing Leclerc beating Vettel, but it won't be that easy to come in and beat a four-time champion. Agreed, and I think we should wait on saying Leclerc's going to beat Vettel. Even though I am bigging up Charles Leclerc for 2019, I'm still wary to say that he's going to beat Vettel in 2019. But when it comes to you saying it's not that easy to come in and beat a four-time world champion, well, Daniel Ricciardo did it quite handsomely. So it's not impossible. Definitely not impossible. If Leclerc performs as well as we know he can, then I think he can. I really think he can. Spider Monkey, do you think Stroll will still be at the back of the pack next year in Force India? Depends where the Force India car is. If the Force India is like 5th or 6th, then he'll be lower midfield, I think. But if the Force India is bad for some reason next season, then yeah, he'll be at the back. Ben McCarthy, how would you compare what Hamilton's done for Mercedes to what Schumacher did for Ferrari, what Senna did for McLaren, what Clark did for Lotus? You are right in terms of comparing those driver-team relationships because you know, Hamilton and Mercedes dominated the sport before they started actually having to seriously fight with another team for a title. Maybe people don't think of this Mercedes and Hamilton combination as being that great. But I think once Lewis Hamilton calls it quits, maybe in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years' time, people are going to look back at this era and say, you know what, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes as a combination were quite frankly unbeatable and were very similar. And I think Niblo said it in the chat yesterday in one of my streams that Mercedes are now the current day Schumacher, Todt and Ross Brawn, with Lewis Hamilton, Toto Wolff and Niki Lauda. And I agree, they absolutely are. They are a dream team at Mercedes. They have a good designer, probably the second best designer on the grid in James Allison. James Vowles is probably the best strategist on the grid, despite his massive error in Austria, of course. So, Mercedes are a bit of a dream team, I think. And you can see why they dominated the sport and didn't mess it up, because they have such a great selection of personnel. Rona Brady, Vettel wasn't bothered that year. Ferrari was on his mind since his meeting at Maranello in December 2013. Did he actually meet Ferrari then, or is that just a rumour? I'm not sure. Maybe that was playing on his mind, but I think Vettel lost to Ricciardo because, one, Ricciardo surprised him with how aggressive and just surprising Ricciardo was. And I think Vettel as well was a bit mentally tired. Mentally tired after winning 4 straight world titles and now was having to deal with a Red Bull car that was so unreliable and that needed a lot of development. And I don't think Sebastian had the willpower in him to do it. I don't think he had enough motivation at that point of his career. James Allison who brought the info out on the Ferrari battery system to the FIA. If that's true, then James has done a good job, because it seems as though Ferrari are now not using it. Ronan Brady, he said it himself both in December 2013 and 14. He went there. I agree, though, that Ricciardo surprised him. Okay, that's news to me. I didn't know he met people at Ferrari at the end of 2013. That's quite a surprise. Ben McCarthy, this is actually a good question that doesn't get asked a lot. What is the worst corner in F1? Oh, that's difficult. That's really difficult, that is. I don't know. I don't really know. There's so many bad corners. Do you guys in the chat have any suggestions? Maybe the chicane at the end of the first sector in Abu Dhabi. That's quite a poor corner or two, because it should be removed and just have a straight going towards the hairpin. There's lots of corners at Russia which are poor, to say the least. I don't really know what to answer that with. Good question, but I don't really know what to answer that with. All the 90 corners, or all the 90-degree corners, I think he's saying there. Yeah, I hate 90-degree corners. They are such bad corners, they don't promote good racing. Any corners at Hockenheim track is so boring, driven on it many times. Compared to the old Hockenheim, yeah, it's not in competition. There are still some good corners, for example, the entry to the stadium and the corner before that. And turn 1, that's a good corner. And the stadium does have some decent corners, but yeah, it's not as good as the old Hockenheim. If you have not seen a lap or a race around the old Hockenheim, you have to. What a track that was. If only we had it now. But if we had it with DRS, we would have so many overtakes. Warwick Bull, how different would Ferrari's season be if you were their strategist? Well, I'm not going to say I would have got every decision right. Let's say I would have got the decision in Baku wrong. So let's exclude Baku. China, it was clear to pit first. So I think they wasted about 14 points there. So that's 14 points. Remember, Vettel is 67 behind right now. So that goes down to 53. Wasted 6 points at Spain. So that goes down to, what, 47? What else? I think they made a strategy mistake at Austria, not swapping Vettel and Raikkonen at the end. So that's 3 points. So that is, what's that? 44 points. And then after that, Singapore, I think they made a mistake. So they cost 3 points there. So that goes down to 41. Suzuka, this is the thing. Even though, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to say it. If Ferrari went out on dry tyres at the start of qualifying at Suzuka, I think Ferrari would have got a podium at Suzuka. I think they would have. Because they would have lined up in 3rd and 4th. And Max, even though he was fast, would not have been... would have been able, to be that fast with Bottas, Vettel and Raikkonen in front of him. I don't think he would have been massively fast in that sense. So, say Ferrari there cost themselves 7 points. So they've cost themselves, strategy-wise, 30-odd points, I think. That's about right. Ferrari next year could win the Constructors with Leclerc and Vettel. Yep, that's a possibility if Leclerc does perform, of course. Simon Craigland, I could imagine Williams leaving F1 after 2021. I wouldn't be surprised. It would be sad to see that, but well, they've done it to themselves if they do go out of F1. I don't think they have many people at all to blame. Right, guys, we are now going to go into the last 5 minutes of questions here on this Q&A. Just before we get into the final questions though, guys, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe on the bottom right of the screen, or click on my channel name and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, comment down below what you thought of this video, and comment below if you have any questions which you wanted to ask, if you were actually here for the live stream. Make sure to put it in the comments and I will try my best to answer it as soon as I can. Don't forget to join our Discord server, link below in the description, and links below to my Twitter and my website to keep up to date with me and the channel. God, my throat is sore, guys. I desperately need this 2 weeks to recover some part of my throat going to the next back-to-back, which is US and Mexico. Ben McCarthy, are you annoyed at BBC for letting F1 broadcasting go? Not really, because their broadcasting team at the end in 2015 I didn't think was that good. I mean, yeah, you had Coulthard and Eddie Jordan and Lee Mackenzie and Ben Edwards who were good, but the talent level decreased when Martin Brundle, Ted Kravitz, and then eventually Jake Humphrey left the team. Sorry, guys, I'm really struggling with my throat here. I'm sure you can hear it. Yeah, I sound like a worn-out Pirelli tyre from 2012 at this point. Will Mick Schumacher go to F2 next season? If he does win the F3 title, which, by the way, guys, the final F3 race is next weekend at Hockenheim. There's 3 races. If Mick beats Dan Ticktum in the first race, Mick wins the F3 title. So if he does win the title, I think, yeah, he'll go to F2 for 2019. Just looking at some final questions here. Also, do you think Vettel is the 5th best driver in F1? That's from Hallam899. No, I'd say he's probably in the top 3. Even though he's made mistakes, I'd say top 3 for now. Because I want to see how Leclerc does against him next season. Ronan Brady asks, Sky really miss Martin Brundle, don't you think? Well, for the 2 races, yes, they did. Because Paul di Resta, I actually like Paul di Resta, but clearly commentary is not his thing. I think punditry and using the Sky pad is his thing. But Brundle, I think, deserve and earned a rest, because, you know, he's getting on now. He's, what, 60 years old. He's had heart problems in the last couple of years. He had an illness in 2017, which caused him to miss 2 or 3 races. You know, he's getting on. He's getting quite old now, so he does deserve a bit of rest, considering how much he's given to the sport in his great media career. Right, I'll answer 2 more questions, guys, and then I'll end the Q&A. But then update you guys as to the content coming between now and the practice review for the US Grand Prix in about a week and a half's time. Ben McCarthy, should Hamilton win the BBC Sports Personality of the Year? I'm trying to think of other British. No, it won't be Lewis Hamilton. It won't be. It'll probably, even though England didn't win the World Cup, it's probably going to be an England player. And England will probably win team of the, best team of the year. I think he'll be an England player, maybe Harry Kane or something like that. Hallam899, I think both Red Bull drivers are better than Vettel. I can see why you think that, because I think Verstappen, when it comes to qualifying, is better than Vettel. But I think in the races, Verstappen is a bit erratic still. I know Vettel can be, but Verstappen is still a bit erratic. Right, I'm now looking, guys, for my final question. So if you can put it in at the last moment, then go ahead and do so. But I'm looking through now to find a great one to end on. Right, just looking now. Some great questions tonight. So, guys, thank you so much for coming along. And I believe that this Q&A, this live post-race Q&A, has been the most watched live we've had since we've done it on this new channel. I think we have had 45 people watching live at one point. So, thank you, guys, so much. And as ever, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, as we do this every race weekend and post-race weekend. Yep, Ronan Brady, I probably am. Blessed you. How many times has Verstappen out-qualified Vettel? I see your point, but that's not relevant because Red Bull are always far off in qualifying because they don't have that, party mode in qualifying. So I don't think that's relevant, if I'm being honest. The last one that I'm going to end on is from Sebastian. I can't read the rest of that because I'm afraid I'm probably going to butcher the rest of your name. He asks, will Verstappen ever go to Ferrari? Yes, I think he will. I think Max Verstappen maybe doesn't have a pre-signed contract, but does have maybe a slight or small agreement in place for the future. Because, guys, if you remember, in 2017 at the Austrian Grand Prix, there was a massive rumour that Max Verstappen agreed a pre-contract agreement with Ferrari for 2020 or something like that, and we've not heard anything about that since. And I don't think that's totally untrue. As they say, there's no smoke without a fire. So I think there's an agreement there. And I think Max eventually will go to Ferrari, because even though Ferrari are bottling the championship so much, I think Ferrari right now are clearly better placed to win titles than Red Bull. But of course, we'll see what happens with Red Bull and Honda. But guys, now I'm going to go on to the schedule between now and the US Grand Prix weekend. So guys, please memorize these dates and times for the upcoming content so you guys don't miss anything going forward. So, to start off, tomorrow between 4 and 5 PM, me and Niblo are going to review the 2018 Japanese Grand Prix in the Chancellor HD F1 podcast. We're going to do that tomorrow. And then on Thursday will be part 3 of our Classic F1 Seasons 2012 series. I know some of you guys are really enjoying it, so don't worry, it's coming back on Thursday again between 4 and 5 PM UK time. If you're new and you have not seen the previous 2 parts, then go to the playlists part of my channel and check out the first 2 parts, because yeah, there's plenty of exciting things happening in 2012 already by the end of part 2. And then this weekend, this is what's going down. On Saturday will be another episode of the podcast talking about probably a couple bits of news and also some other topics to do, of course, with the world of F1. And then on Sunday, guys, don't forget to come here live. This is my next live stream, 3 PM Sunday UK time. I will be live for This Week in F1. If you're new to the channel, basically it's a news show where I go through the news in This Week in F1 and talk about it, analyse it, read the quotes, what people are saying, and communicate with you guys, and you guys can communicate with me about what you think about certain pieces of news. I'm sure, rather, there will be news this week about something, so don't forget to tune into that, because I'm sure there's going to be some news this week. And then the week of the US Grand Prix on the 16th of October, so that is in 8 days time, will be the Ferrari battery video. It hasn't got an official title at the minute, so yep, it's not going to be called that, don't worry. I know some of you guys have requested for that video to be done, so that will be done before the US Grand Prix on the 16th of October between 4 and 5 PM UK time. And then on Thursday the 18th of October, one day before my practice review for the US Grand Prix, will be the preview, for the 2018 United States Grand Prix. So guys, that is what is coming up on the channel. And by the way, if you follow me on Twitter, and well, you should follow me on Twitter because it's a great way to keep up to date with me, I'm going to pin those 3 images to the top of my Twitter. So if you guys are wondering, what is Chazza uploading between now and the US Grand Prix, then go to my Twitter and just look at the top of my profile and to my latest pinned tweet, and you will see what I'm doing next, or what is, again, upcoming for the channel. But guys, thank you very much for coming along for this Q&A. It has been great as always. Some very good viewers and some great questions as we always get. Don't forget guys to subscribe either on the bottom right of the screen, click on my channel name, or click on the link in the description that goes to my channel page. And as well, hit the notifications bell for this channel so you don't miss out on any content as well. Don't forget to like this video and comment down below what you thought of this video, and comment down below if you do have a question that you wanted to ask but you couldn't make the stream. Then put it in the chat, or sorry, put it in the comments section, and I will try and answer it as soon as I can, guys. I'll try my best, but don't expect it to be an immediate answer, but I will get around to answering it as well. Guys, don't forget to join my Discord server, link below in the description. Follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 to keep up to date with the channel. You have to follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with me. And check out my website, chazahd.com, again, to keep up to date with me. And just to say, thank you guys so much for this weekend. We are now on, I believe, 1,230 subscribers or something like that. What an amazing weekend. This time last week, sorry, we were celebrating 1,000 subscribers, and now we are a quarter of a way to basically 2,000 subs. So thank you guys so much, and hopefully at the US and Mexican Grand Prix and in the next 2 weeks we can continue to grow the channel going forward. So thank you guys so much for the weekend. But guys, until the next live stream, on Sunday at 3 PM UK time, and until the podcast tomorrow between 4 and 5 PM UK time, I will see all of you then. Thank you guys for the 2018 Japanese Grand Prix weekend. Has been a pleasure as always.